The Lord of the Rings, Mysteries of Valinor, Chapter 1, The Sea of Memories. Sauron's threat had come to an end only months ago, when the One Ring was destroyed in the fires of Mount Doom, taking with it the Dark Lord's power. Sauron's spirit, stripped of its physical form, had been condemned to wander eternally without power. It was the 22nd day of September, in the year 3021 of the Third Age, and an elven ship was sailing the Great Sea towards the west. On board were the last bearers of the rings, Gandalf the White, the Lady Galadriel, and the Lord Elrond, together with the hobbits Bilbo and Frodo Baggins. They had departed from the Grey Haven, leaving Middle-earth behind forever, heading for the undying lands of Valinor, where the Valar awaited their arrival.
It seems like only yesterday we left the Grey Haven.
Oh, Círdan, what a magnificent shipwright he was. This ship is a true work of art.
The Teleri were always the finest shipwrights. This ship will carry us to the undying lands with the grace of a sea-god.
The stars of Elbereth will guide us along the straight path.
Night fell upon the sea like a blanket of black velvet, speckled with stars. In his cabin Frodo tossed and turned in his troubled sleep.
No, back off! The Winch King!
His screams woke Bilbo, who was sleeping in the next bunk.
Frodo, my boy, wake up. It's only a nightmare.
The wound burns as if it had just been received, like that night on Weathertop.
The cabin door opened, and the silver light of a rod illuminated the room.
The waters we sail are steeped in ancient history, my dear Frodo. Beneath these very waves lie the ruins of Beleriand.
Beleriand, the lost kingdom of which the ancient poems spoke.
My homeland. These waters hold memories of battles that time has not been able to erase.
Morgoth's power has left deep scars on these drowned lands. Like your wound, Frodo, they are wounds that do not easily heal.
A thunderclap rumbled in the distance, rattling the cabin windows.
Wow, time changes faster than a drunken hobbit's stories.
There's something strange about those clouds. They're moving against the wind.
The waves began to swell, beating against the hull with increasing force. The wind howled with voices that seemed to contain words in forgotten languages.
Oesi welcomes us to his domain.
Who is this Osa you speak of? I've never heard such a name in the tales of Lord Elrond.
A Maya of the seas, servant of Olmo. His temper is as changeable as the tides.
The storm raged with unnatural fury. Lightning bolts of unnatural blue illuminated the waves, which rose like liquid mountains.
To the rigging, we must secure the sails.
Let these old hands prove that they still have their skill. I'll surprise you all.
To everyone's amazement, the old hobbit climbed the rigging with the agility of an experienced sailor.
Uncle Bilbo, how...
The waters of the West have extraordinary properties. Every mile we travel from Middle-earth undoes the weight of mortal years.
I feel like I'm back in my raiding days. This reminds me of escaping from the barrels in the Forest River.
A gigantic whirlpool formed next to the ship, rising until it took on a vaguely humanoid shape of water and foam.
Oesi, we know your power and we respect your dominion.
We are travelers by permission of the Valar.
The aquatic figure seemed to study them as the storm raged around them.
By all the Valar, grief cuts through me like a dagger of ice.
The ancient wound on the Morgul blade throbbed with renewed pain, as if responding to the Maya's presence.
The trials of Osse are hard but fair. We must prove our worth.
Hang in there, boy. You've seen worse.
The water figure leaned towards the boat, as if examining its occupants. An indefinite face formed in the liquid mass.
Show mercy, O Lord of the Waves. We take with us those who have sacrificed much for the peace of Arda.
The storm gradually began to subside. The watery face gave something resembling a smile before dissolving into the sea foam.
Extraordinary. Simply extraordinary. I shall have to add a new chapter to my book.
The pain is lessening. It is as if the waters have a healing power.
The waters of Olmo have always had healing properties, but we still have a long way to go.
As the sea calmed, the moon emerged from between the scattered clouds, tracing a silver path over the waters towards the west, towards Valinor, where true healing awaited travelers.
We have passed the first test, but the straight path holds more secrets.
And more revelations await us in these ancient waters.
The ship continued its journey under a once again clear sky as the first rays of dawn began to tint the eastern horizon in gold and pink. Chapter 2. The Straight Path. Months. The morning mist thickened into a whitish curtain that engulfed the ship. The waters, once crystal clear, took on a deep indigo hue.
The sea feels different here, as if every wave holds ancient secrets.
Look, nephew, the stars. They reflect in the water, even in broad daylight. It reminds me of the stories I used to read about the enchanted seas.
We have entered the straight path. Here, the laws of the mortal world blur. Time flows differently.
The waters hold memories of the first age. Every wave whispers tales of those who perished. I can hear their cries.
A spectral silhouette emerged from the mist, a Teleri ship with its sails torn, its translucent hull reflecting a greenish light.
By all means, is that?
The remains of the great fleet of Aquilonte. Their spirits still wander, seeking the way to the halls of Mandos. The slaughter that took place there left scars that not even time has been able to erase.
How many ships were lost that day?
Hundreds, each one filled with innocent lives.
More ghostly ships emerged from the mist, surrounding them in a silent procession. Their hulls glowed with a spectral light, and translucent figures could be glimpsed on their decks, moving with elven grace.
I recognize those banners. I was there when the madness of the Noldor unleashed the first slaughter between brothers.
When blood stained the white docks, my father told me stories of that day.
Can the spirits see us? Whoa.
They don't just see us, Frodo. They judge us.
The cries of my kin still ring in my ears. The price of our pride was too high. Every face I see on these ships, I knew them by name.
Is there no way to help them find peace?
There must be something we can do.
The time has come to show you who I really am. Perhaps then we can guide these lost souls.
The wizard's figure seemed to grow, emanating a silver light that dispelled the fog around him. His face took on a terrible and majestic beauty.
In Valinor, I am known as Olorin. I am one of the Maiar, sent to Middle-earth to guide its people. What you are about to see, few mortals have ever beheld.
With a wave of his hand, a vision unfolded before the hobbits. Crystal towers that touched the clouds, eternal gardens where the light never went out, waterfalls of liquid silver, and streets paved with precious stone.
It's too beautiful for words. No book could ever do justice to such a sight.
My eyes can hardly bear it. Is this Valinor?
This is but a glimpse, a shadow of his true glory.
A chill ran through the deck. The waters suddenly darkened, as if all light had been absorbed into the depths.
Something follows us, something that has not seen the light since the Dark Ages.
An ancient presence slumbering for ages in the depths. Its evil taints these sacred waters.
He has detected the echo of the ring in you, Frodo. Though you no longer bear it, its mark remains. Creatures of darkness never forget the taste of power.
The wound throbs again. It is as if the edge of the Morgul dagger were piercing my flesh again.
A massive shadow slid beneath the ship, causing the wood to creak. The water began to bubble with a sickly greenish glow.
What kind of creature could survive so long in these waters?
A servant of Morgoth, one of those who escaped when his master's chains were forged. A being of the deep who has been feeding on hatred and despair for millennia.
He approaches. The water boils with his malice. I can feel his hunger, his desire for vengeance.
The spectral sails of the Teleri fleet stirred in a non-existent wind, as if spirits were responding to the threat. The ghosts on the decks shifted restlessly, their ethereal faces contorted in fear.
The dead warn us. This creature has been hunting these waters since the fall of Beleriand. It has devoured countless souls.
The cold, it's like facing the Nazgul all over again. But there's something different, something older, more terrible.
Stand together. The night will be long, and our enemy patient. We must prepare for what rises from the depths.
Do you think the spirits of the Teleri will help us?
Perhaps it is time for the Noldor to pay their debt to the Teleri.
Darkness closed in on the ship as the lurking presence drew ever tighter circles around them. The black water bubbled with an unnatural luminescence, and shadows darker than night writhed beneath the surface. The spirits of the sunken ships formed a protective circle around the vessel, their spectral lights shining like stars in the gathering darkness. Final, the waters opened like a dark wound.
By all the Valar, he's bigger than the dragon Smaug.
What creature is this that pursues us to the ends of the earth? Or
A servant of Morgoth, corrupted by the deep, a spirit that should have perished eons ago.
Gandalf's staff glowed with a blinding light. His mortal form began to fade away, revealing his true nature as Olorin.
Behold the power of Amaya in her true form.
My old eyes have never witnessed such a transformation.
it is as if all the light of the stars had been concentrated in a single being.
Defend the bow. We can't let it sink us when we're this close.
The ship spirits, they're joining our cause.
Look how their lights dance around us.
It reminds me of the old stories of the First Age.
The Umayyah roared, a sound that mixed the roar of the ocean with the crackling of flames.
Back off, creature of the deep. Our time in these waters is over.
Wait, there's more to his roar than evil.
What are you saying, boy? It's a beast from the deep.
No, uncle, listen carefully. There is pain in his voice, such as I heard in Gollum.
The little hobbit sees beyond appearances.
Watch out, his shadow tentacles.
A battle of light and shadow broke out over the waves.
Gandalf, let me speak to the creature.
It's too dangerous.
Trust in me, as you trusted when I carried the ring.
My nephew, don't do anything foolish.
Let her speak. Her heart sees truths we cannot fathom.
Creature of the deep, I too have known darkness. I felt it creeping into my soul, seeking to corrupt it. But I also knew light, forgiveness, hope. Even in the darkest night, there is always a way back.
The Teleri, their ships are approaching.
Their songs, hearken.
I've never heard such a beautiful melody.
A fleet of star-shining ships emerged from the mist.
You need not remain in the shadows. Look to the horizon, to the light of Valinor.
Extraordinary. The creature is responding.
The power of forgiveness, stronger than any magic of the ancient ages.
The Umayyah began to transform, its darkness dissolving like mist beneath the dawning sun.
It's like seeing the sunrise after the longest night.
Go in peace. Find your way back to the light.
The creature plunged into the depths, leaving behind a flash of pure light.
You have shown more wisdom than all of us put together, dear Frodo.
The docks of Tol Eressëa await us.
And it's not too early. These old legs need solid ground.
At the pier, a tall and noble figure awaited them.
Welcome to Tol Eressëa, travelers of Middle-earth. We have been expecting you.
Is this the end of our journey, Gandalf?
The end? No, my dear Frodo. It is only the beginning of a new adventure.
Adventure? I hope there's at least time for a good breakfast first.
Hobbits never cease to amaze me. After facing an Umayyah, all they think about is food.
Your home is prepared, little friends. A place worthy of those who have traveled so far.
Will we find here the peace we seek?
You will find it, and much more. The undying lands hold secrets and wonders that even the wisest do not fully understand.
Come, there is much to see and learn in these blessed lands.
Will there be stories to tell?
More than you could hear in 1,000 human lifetimes.
The hobbits set foot upon the blessed land of Tol Eressëa, and for the first time since they left the Shire, their hearts felt truly at peace.